Hi folks, welcome back to the Hoard. Here in the United States, April 15th, right? It's time for taxes. I'm not sure if they have to be in today, or given that today's a Friday, or if they have to be postmarked today, or if they have to be mailed by Monday. I'm not sure how exactly it works, but typically April 15th, tax day, here in the United States. I'm gonna just go through this thing, and kind of what's driving it is one of my subscribers, Roger, I believe it was, Roger O'Connor, mentioned that he was at a hoard. I don't know if it was a sale or if he was invited to go there and just pick, or what the story was. And when you have a hoard, and you have something like this that you can walk up to and pull the string and it fires right up. Oh man, Ernie committed suicide. Oh, poor Ernie, man. You still with us, Ernie? Place must be haunted. Or Elmo, excuse me. Somebody's making a mess here. Anyway, if you have something like this, you can pull the string and it starts and it runs and all that. You got a line of people around the block to pick it up. You see something like this sitting there, and quite honestly, you're lucky if you could get $100 for it. And why is that? Because you're looking and you're going, I don't know, I could probably sell this on eBay for $50. And the cover's worth something, that's worth something, right? You're like, it's useless. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get things either to the state where they're running, or parted out and gone, or I'm trying to combine bikes together. My thoughts are, what's going on with this bike, because I have another one over here that somebody used for plowing and broke the frame. Let me show you. That's a big red also, and you could see frame go snap, right? You can see the frame mounts down there, and they probably got it, flying into a pile of snow. And when they hit the pile of snow, right, it torqued up on the frame and snapped it right off there. I don't know what year this is. Oh, it's an 85, I think. It's hard to tell. A lot of times you could tell by if the plug is round or square. Yeah, the harness is off it too, so that doesn't help. This one actually starts and runs, believe it or not. But from when they broke the frame mounts, they actually snapped the mount off the engine, and they damaged where the exhaust port goes into the engine. They cracked the engine casting there. So though that runs and it actually moves, it's not. It really can't come back to life unless somebody's willing to drive it around all noisy like that. The story on this guy, this is a 1986. Could you guys see that there? I think you guys could see that. So this is an 86 Big Red, right? 250 ES. I hope the sun's not completely smashing you out there. And it's quite seized, right? This came from, belonged to a friend of my father's, believe it or not. And he used it around his property. He has a great big hunk of property in Orange County, New York, in, I believe it's called South Blooming Grove. he used it around the property, and then his kids got to it and, you know, kind of battered it up. And last time he went to use it, I think it had been sitting for quite a while. They tried to start it and it wouldn't start, and then, quote, somehow it seized. My guess is, it's only a guess, that they screwed up the starter and material got between the starter and the flywheel, and it completely bound the flywheel to the stator, and that's what's wrong with it. But that's only a guess. I don't know that to be true because I haven't been inside. The tires are severely cracked, though these two seem to hold air. The other one I took off because not only wouldn't it hold air, it was basically square. So I have a tire in the shed over there, and I'm going to bolt that on just to make this thing a little bit more mobile. I guess this is basically an intro. So let's say you're out and you're walking around and somebody says, hey, take this, or I want to sell it to you, what have you got? Your plastic, you really don't have too much here. The rack looks like it's in pretty decent shape, but I mean, you don't even have tail lights, right? They're all broke up. Your trunk, yes, that's my foot. So your trunk's not in very good shape. The engine appears to be complete, and to be honest with you, I'm not thinking there's that many miles on it. It is quite seized. I'm not sure why it's seized. If maybe they ran it low on oil. I told you what my theory was. No, it seems to have oil in it. The oil, I've seen the oil look much worse. There's another view of the front tire. I've had to work on it a bit to loosen up the rear end so it would roll, and the front tire so that it would roll. The brakes had seized to the drums, right? So I managed to get those loosened up when I first got it. So right off the top of your head, I don't know what a rack is worth to somebody, right? It's got half the front fender, right? The front half is gone. The headlights gone. The brake handles are pretty much pooched. That does move, which is a good sign. That's no good. It has the switch here. I don't think I have the key. The gas tank is ventilated. I don't know. What would you pay for this? The frame does look pretty good. The front end looks pretty good, right? It's still got most of the that's still alive. That's still alive, though it's pretty whacked. Tires are dead. I don't know. What does one pay for something like this? If you're paying, if you need it because you're going to take the frame and put another engine into it, or something that's got a certain value. I mean, the wire harness is worth something. It's not, the shifter isn't welded. The Kickstarter is on there, right? The exhaust system, I believe, is intact. Yeah, the exhaust system's intact. The rear end's in pretty good shape. Believe it or not, the rear end is probably worth over $100, $150. The wire harness, right? I don't know what shape the starter's in. The front forks, though they're a little ugly, they have a certain value also. You probably, from a parts point of view, you got about $300 worth of gimmies here. Give, you know, 200 to 300. So now you're buying it. So you bought it, and what are you going to do with it? The first thing you got to figure out is, why is she seized? Right? Why is the thing seized? I already told you my theory, but and from there you figure out what you got. If it's seized because of that stator problem that I talked to you about, I believe the square plug 86, I think you could still get the stator and parts for. The round plug 85, it's hard to get the stator, which means you have to get the stator and you have to get the flywheel for an 86 and put it in there. Though generally speaking, when they lock up like that, if that's what the problem is, they're both pretty shot. To me, I would clean it up, and hopefully it produces enough electricity. The 12-volt part of the stator, the three-phase, the 3 yellow wires. Hopefully it produces enough electricity to charge the battery, and if it does that, then you could go with one of these boxes with a 12-volt CDI in it, and build your own wire harness and get rid of all this trouble. So, I don't know. What's wrong with it? Why is it seized? I don't know. We'll find out shortly. But should you buy one of these, I guess what you're going to see is more or less what kind of trouble you're in. This, to my knowledge, was not in a flood. The guy's house was not in the kind of place that you can flood it. Air filter's gone and you got a mouse nest in there. Though that's still moving is normally a pretty good sign. That means the carburetor isn't seized up, which means it probably didn't get water into the carburetor. Probably, not definitely. Alright, I'm going to tear this apart. This is going to be probably a obviously this is part 1, so this is going to be a 2-part. I'm going to pull the gas tank off. I'm going to put a tire on it, roll it to its side. You actually have to take the motor mounts off to get this side cover off. And we're going to see what's wrong with it. If I get the side cover off and that's not the problem, that's kind of good news, because the stator and flywheel are valuable items. That throws in at least another $100 onto the pile of what this thing is worth. If I do take it off and it's shot, I'll clean it up, get it apart, see if the engine is free otherwise, and move forward on it. A lot of times when a bike sits around like this, the reason, there could be more than one thing wrong with it. It could have died of anything, right? It could just have a bad spark plug in it. That might be what it died of. And from sitting around, it could have seized, right? Or it could be seized because the flywheel is screwed up, and from sitting around, now the cylinder has water in it, and that's seized too, right? So a lot of times for bikes that one allows bad things like this to happen to them, allows them to sit out in the weather like I did with this one. A lot of times you have more trouble than just the initial problem, whatever it was, right? So you might get the bike and you say, oh, it's seized, so you fix the seized part of the bike, and then you find out the electrical system is shot. Or you get it unseized and you find out, oh shoot, it actually does have a valve problem, right? If you got to pull the head off to unseize it, obviously you'll find the valve problem. But if you're able to wrench it loose, right, then you might go, oh crap, the valves are seized too. So anyway, so let's see what we got. Wish me luck, folks. I want to thank you all for watching and commenting and subscribing. Remember to keep your feet down, keep your head up, and get out there and enjoy all your days. Bye now.